السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا، وأنت تجعل الحزن إن شئت سهلا. اللهم اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. سيدنا ومسلمون كل الله والحمد لله ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. سينا على فطرة الإسلام وعلى كلمة الإخلاص وعلى دين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى ملة أبينا إبراهيم حنيفا وما كان من المشركين. اللهم أنت ربنا لا إله إلا أنت، خلقتنا ونحن عبيدك ونحن على عهدك ووعدك ما استطعنا، نعوذ بك من شر ما صنعنا، نبوء لك بنعمتك علينا ونبوء بذنوبنا فاغفر لنا فإنه لا يغفر الذنوب إلا أنت. اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات. اللهم اغفر لآبائنا وأمهاتنا وإخواننا وأخواتنا وابنائنا وبناتنا وأزواجنا وسائر من له حق علينا يا رب العالمين. آمين آمين آمين. طيب نكمل. We continue with مختصر منهاج القاصدين ابن قدامة المقدسي رحمه الله تعالى. And we still في فصل في آداب التلاوة. We're talking about the etiquette of reciting the Quran. We covered some last time. قال رحمه الله تعالى, we continue. فأما مقدار القراءة فقد اختلفت فيها عادات السلف، فمنهم من كان يختم أو يختم كل يوم وليلة ختمة، ومنهم من كان يختم في اليوم والليلة أكثر من ذلك، ومنهم من كان يختم في 3 ختمة، ومنهم من كان يختم في كل أسبوع، ومنهم من كان يختم في كل شهر، اشتغالا بالتدبر أو بنشر العلم أو بتعليمه أو بنوع من التعبد غير القراءة أو بغيره من اكتساب الدنيا. He says, then the next part he says, وأولى الأمر ما لا يمنع الإنسان من أشغاله المهمة ولا يؤذيه في بدنه ولا يفوته معه الترتيل أو الترتيل والفهم. He says, when he talks about, now he's talking about the amount of recitation, how much the Muslim should recite. But he says, اختلفت فيها عادات السلف. And the ulama and the righteous people throughout the eras of Islam, the different eras, differ. How they differ? He said some of them used to finish the recitation of the Quran once every day and night. And every 24 hours, in today's language, he will recite once. And it was, of course, and when we talk about that, we're talking about habit. We're talking about the norm. This is what he used to do. It's not like it happened that he recited it one time, he finished the Quran in one day. No. This was something that he was accustomed to do every day. Well, sometimes someone might ask how they did that. Some of them will stay from after Fajr reciting the Quran until Dhuhr, and some of them after Isha until Fajr. That's how it is. Usually there's type of qira'ah, type of recitation called al-hadr. Al-hadr is to recite quite quickly. A little bit quicker than the recitation, for example, of Al-Haram in Ramadan. You listen to the old recordings of Sudais, Shreem, Hadr like that in Ramadan, in Taraweeh, and maybe a little faster. But if you go in that pace, you might need 8 hours to finish the recitation of the Quran. 8 or 9 hours. Okay. And Al-Baqarah could take 45 minutes. A lot of us look at Al-Baqarah. بقرة. يعني average you can recite one if you're very efficient in recitation or in reading, and it takes you about 70 to 75 seconds a page, maybe a minute. You want to read fast. Quran 600 pages. Well, obviously toward the end, few lines per page. Like now the average, any page you open the Mus'haf, you find 15 lines. 15 lines. المصحف طبعة المدينة, the print of Medina, the famous one. 15 lines. Usually it takes a minute, so that's 600 minutes. And the last juz'ah, a lot of big banners, so you can't count that. But at the end of the day, you need, max, if you persist and you sit down, no more than 10 hours you will be done. Okay? But don't be surprised that someone used to read that. إذا كان متفرغ, لم يكن مثلا, he wasn't a man of knowledge, he wasn't busy teaching, he wasn't busy making da'wah, he wasn't busy doing business, maybe he was rich, born rich. 10 hours of the 24 hours he spends just reciting the Quran. It's not just like a job. If you have if someone tells you, I'm going to give you a job, it's 8 hours a day, all I need you to do is you sit down and you recite the Quran. And I'll make money and you make hasanat for me. I'll pay you for It's like a job. It's a good job.
It happened in my country.
Inshallah, when I become rich, I'll hire a couple of people to do that, But the idea is, I hire one on behalf of Brother Shazam. I got you. Yeah. So the idea is, when you have no job, when you're not worried about making a living, and if you think about it, in the past, they really didn't worry about this that much. And what were their expenses? شوية نفط or some oil for the lantern, for the light. He's not worried about FPM. He's not worried about AT&T. He's not worried about Comcast. He's not worried about taxes. He's not worried about sales taxes. He's not worried about property taxes. He's not worried about taxes of taxes. Life is easy to an extent. Of course, you have to take into consideration their time. And you have to look at what they're doing or their lifestyle in their environment. Well, it's easy to sit back 1400 or 13 or 1200 years later and look at that history and say, what's wrong with them? Just like the people living in America and they look at the Middle East and say, what's wrong with them? Or look at other culture, what's wrong with them? That's a problem. It's the same thing that people from other side of the world look at people in America and say, what's wrong with them? You understand? That's where stereotyping happens. That's where prejudice comes. That's where racism. Allah Azza wa Jal said, يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل تعارفوا. And Allah says, oh people, we created you from male and female and made you into nations and tribes, so you would know each other. I cannot judge you from far when I don't know you. When I don't know you. مثلا, you come to this country, for example, and you're coming from a very conservative place. You say a country name, but people, we know what kind of life they live. Sure. But not every neighborhood in that country is on the same pace. There are people in the city different than people in the village. People in the city, some neighborhoods are different than other neighborhoods. So you come from a very conservative town, and you come to America, and you see the way women dress, for example, right? And you start saying to yourself, How her father allows her to do that, right? That's the first idea. How her brothers allow her to do that. And you become judgmental. You judge this woman as a bad woman just because she's wearing, let's say, a short skirt. Right? And then the more you learn about the culture, the more you realize that she might be innocent of your stereotype. Maybe that's the best she knows. And if we're gonna judge every woman who wears shorts or short skirts or tight pants or Tim Tam or whatever they call them, huh? Huh? If we're gonna judge her, huh? There will be no woman coming into Islam, because right away we already have a judgment for her. So if she's a bad woman, why I want to even talk to her? Make sense? But when you understand the environment, you start, and you even get a chance to talk to some of these women, whether it's a job, because of your job, because of school, because you start realizing they're not that bad after all. They never learned. It was never made, the idea was never brought to their mind. They were raised, or they grew up in an environment that they thought all these things were okay. And now you start showing them, until you cover yourself, because no one has the right to see. No one has the right to, people are going to treat you based on who you are, not based on what you wear. That's what Islam gives you, and that's why a lot of women are driven into this deen because of this. Now, I truly believe one of the, if we can put the three main reasons why a lot of women convert to Islam in the West, especially in America and in England and Europe, I think one will be for sure one of the three top things is the hijab. I'm sure. And just all you need to do is just read stories about women converting, or YouTubes or whatnot. You will find a lot of them is because of the hijab. Because it made sense to her. It made sense why a woman should be covered. And they tell you civilization, right? People civilize as they move forward. Obviously we're different we're more advanced. I will hold civilized than caveman. And the caveman would kill for what? Would kill to eat. You don't find a caveman would kill someone else so he can take his cave. You don't find. Caveman will sharpen his tools so he can hunt and eat. And at the end of the day, they're happy with each other. Civilized, I will hold it on this. Yeah? So let's say more advanced. But for the people who talk about civilization and how to be civilized, the caveman had no clothes, almost nothing. And as human progressed, they covered more. And imagine someone walking like Tarzan was caveman or something. Jungle man. But anyway, imagine someone wearing like almost nothing, just or a piece of cloth covering his awra and walking. What's wrong with you? You're not civilized. So as human progressed, covered more. So now the way it's reversed. Don't think this is a new. Don't think people, maybe people who lived in America for way longer than most probably none of you, but maybe in the 60s, in the 50s, even in the 70s, and you don't see what you see today. So they started going back. They start digressing. They're going back to the cave woman life. Since the 60s, 70s, they start showing more, until they go back to, and then they tell you this is civilized. But now, as a human progressed, as a human race progressed, they covered more. So now you want to uncover more, that means you're going back, not forward. But again, when we look at lifestyle, when we evaluate a lifestyle, we should evaluate it in its own context. And I evaluate in our own. And you think, oh man, Ghazwat Uhud, if one of them just has a Kalashnikov, one of the Sahaba had a Kalashnikov, he will finish the kuffar, you know. It's unrealistic. It's good to think about, man, if I can go with a Kalashnikov, the machine gun or something, you know, and I can finish the kuffar and Quraysh in no time. You could have finished them, but then the Ummah would have no Khalid bin Walid. You know, the idea, you have to understand each culture or each period or era in its own context. That's why passing judgments is not a good thing, especially when you don't have full comprehension or comprehensive picture of the situation. Even in our own time. Those are bad and those are bad. And people today allow themselves to talk about the ulama, talk about the dua, to talk about those who really put great time and effort into the deen of Allah and servicing the ummah. They allow themselves to, I don't know, you heard something wrong from him. Okay, we all agree it's wrong. You don't understand the context. You don't understand the pressure he lives in. You don't understand the environment. You don't understand why he said that, or just immediately judge because he means. خوارج. البخاري ومسلم رووا عن الخوارج. Talk about خوارج. In Sahih Bukhari, in Sahih Muslim, you find them narrated from people who were khawarij. Even though he was fasiq, someone on the path of al-khawarij who make takfir on the ummah and this, fasiq. And he went astray. But the most truthful people you find are the khawarij. And the reason for that is because he sees the major sins take him to hellfire straight. He sees major sins, throw him in hellfire forever. Of course, he's going to stay away from those major sins. Allah Azza wa Jalla says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن جاءكم فاسق بنبأ تبين. إيش يعني? When a fasiq comes to you with some news, clarify, right? Find out. Which means Allah Azza wa Jalla is telling you the news that comes from a fasiq is possible you can accept it and possible you reject. And you need to clarify. You need to confirm. Just because he's fasiq, that doesn't mean reject everything he says. الكذاب مثلا, the liar, when someone knows to be a liar, and they don't accept from him anything. We have to be careful. People who are just passing judgment, sitting in AC and passing judgment, this is mubtada and this is dhal and this is... جهلة سكين هذا الكذاب عليهم 4. طيب تكبيرات جنازة ماتت قلوبهم. فمنهم من كان يختم. For some of these people doesn't necessarily mean he was a alim, as I said. Just a regular layman. But he had free time. They weren't as we are busy today. We are running. We work 10 and 12 and 14 hours and yalla, the one of us is covering his expense. This is life. This is how life is. We have our own conveniences, we have our own inconveniences. The same thing for them. Right now, you want to go back home 10,000 miles away, take a plane, in less than 12, 13 hours, you're there. Or maybe a little more. For them to take a trip like that, spend 6 months and a year, one way. Because they have their inconveniences, we have ours. Let's worry about ours. But he said some of them used to finish reciting the Quran once every day. That's their schedule. Once every day. He's not لا عنده the Clasico to watch. He has no worries about watching Real Madrid and Barcelona and soccer and football and basketball and baseball. Huh? He's not worried about Facebook. He didn't have all these distractions. For us, we have them. But how we can play with it? Huh? They asked the Sisi, which one you go? Real Madrid or Barcelona? Real or Barcelona? He said the Real Saudi. You know? That's what he wants. Real. So the idea is Khasis. Everyone based on his time. And that's what he will say. So again, we already started. Some people used to finish once a day and night. And in 24 hours, his schedule is to recite one. Some people, their schedule is every 24 hours to exercise, go to the gym. Some people, every 24 hours, he has to finish reciting the Quran. Some people, every 24 hours, he has to play this or play that or do this job, make this amount of money. Huh? People, different priority. ومنهم من كان يختم في اليوم والليل أكثر من ذلك. And some of them used to recite the Quran more than once every day. And now we're going too much. And we will see what. But كله, again, it's about energy. It's about someone who memorized the Quran has no problem finishing the Quran, reciting if he has free time. He has no problem reciting it twice a day. And in normal, average speed. They didn't have the diseases we had. They didn't have the poison that we put in our bodies every day. They didn't have the bad environment, the bad air, the bad water, the bad food. So they were healthy. They were healthy. The one of them will be satisfied with 4 or 5 hours of sleep. Maybe less. That's how their lifestyle. طيب ومنهم من كان يختم في 3 ختمة. Some of them used to recite once every 3 days. ومنهم من كان يختم في كل أسبوع. Some of them will recite once every week. ومنهم من كان يختم في كل شهر. Some of them will recite once every month. But look, he didn't go over it. He didn't go over it. Because perhaps for them, at that time, and they didn't live in the best eras of Islam. Qudama didn't live in the best time of Islam. But perhaps, much better than us. But perhaps for them it was unheard of for someone to not recite the Quran once every month. And today if you look at most Muslims don't recite the Quran. Most Muslims don't. Maybe a lot of Muslims will not recite the Quran from cover to cover even once in their whole life. We know that. I don't want to say once a year. Once in their whole life. And if they do, a lot of them, they only do in Ramadan. As if the Quran is only valid in Ramadan and then after that expires. Right? Well, again, everybody based on what he can. But for them, unheard of. Why it would take you more than a month to recite the whole Quran? And you have 5 prayers a day. 5 prayers. If you recite after every prayer, so I say, well, I'm work and I go pray and go back to work. Fine. Not every salah. So the salawat that you can't recite after, you make it up with the salawat you can. Allah after Fajr, boom, I'm like saruh, like a rocket or an arrow, I have to run to work. That's fine. Dhuhr, same thing. Wa Asr, I'm still there. Maghrib and Isha, well, make it up. most probably if you do not finish washing all the dishes by Maghrib, you're going to finish it, right, before you sleep. Why this is important, this is not. So if you manage to recite 4 pages, which take, and someone average reader, it might take him 10 minutes. Someone who's good, 4 minutes. 5 minutes. 4 pages, 5 minutes to 10 minutes after every salah. You finish the Quran once every month. That means you recite 20 pages a day. That means 20 pages is juz'. Juz' is 20 pages. That means every month, easy you can finish. And that is the advice that Prophet ﷺ gave Ibn Umar right away. When he asked him, he said, want someone. He said, I can do better. He said, once a week. He said, I can do better. He said, once every 3 days. And no less. This is the hadith that the school that argues it's not permissible to finish reciting the Quran in less than 3 days. Do you have a point? They have a point. What's the deal with those who used to recite it once a day? What's the deal with those who recited it more? It's reported that Shafi'i rahimahullah used to recite the Quran in Ramadan, like once every day. Look how busy he was, and he managed to recite it. انت شوف إذا القرآن يعني your memorization of the Quran is very solid. Imagine you just walking, how much we walk. You finish easily, but just walking. And walking from home to the masjid or walking from home to the market and coming back. Look how much there, and that's what they used to do, a lot of them. Don't think reciting the Quran he has to drop everything and sits down and the Mus'haf in front of him and that's the only way. No. He used to recite walking, recite wherever, any chance they get. They just see and evaluate your day and see how much time you waste. I won't say waste, but how much time you spend just moving around. Just walking between things. Understand? But they used to take advantage. So if you memorize the Quran solid, you can't remember all that. Take advantage. But Shafi'i rahimahullah reported that he would recite once a day. In Ramadan he will manage to put 2. So he'll finish the month with 60 khatm. Uthman radiallahu anhu reported and that he recited the Quran, the whole Mus'haf, in 1 rak'ah. Rak'at al-Witr. And tons of ulama, a lot of Sahaba. Do we look at all those and say they didn't understand the hadith of the Prophet? The Prophet told Ibn Umar 3, no less than 3, because you will not comprehend. Those people didn't understand that. And in the opinion of people say you cannot finish reciting the Quran in less than 3 days, right? 3 days is the minimum. All these people didn't understand. Yani Shafi'i rahimahullah is the founder of usul al-fiqh. And al-fiqh in Islam is built on foundations. Shafi'i rahimahullah is the founder of those foundations. The first one to write. And he didn't understand. Those who say it's haram to recite the Quran in less than 3 days. Shafi'i was doing haram. You understand better. There's an opinion, you adopt it, you stick to it, and I go with the dalil. This is your dalil. That's fine. Amma channe who talk bad about the others, that they're wrong because they recite every 2 days or every day, you have no right to do that. Someone might ask, but what's about the dalil? But there's dalil that he told him no less than 3 days. What we do with that? That's fine. It's very simple. The question becomes, how many hours per day? Prophet ﷺ tells Ibn Umar, he tells him no less than 3 days. Okay? Time. How many hours? 3 days has 72 hours. How many hours of those 72 hours you gonna just dedicate for the recitation? Let's say 4 hours a day. Okay? That's 12 hours. But what's the difference between 4 hours a day for 3 days or 12 hours a day in comprehension? Same amount. But the Prophet ﷺ is guiding for the best. But if you see him and yourself, and you see you can do better, Prophet ﷺ was advising Abdullah bin Amr. And he understands his position, and he understands his situation, and he understands what he can do and what he can do. But no, these ulama did not say it as he's forbidding the ummah to recite the Quran in less than 3 days. They didn't understand that. And the hadith does not imply that. The hadith does not imply that it's haram to recite the Quran in less than 3 days. That's why they did it. The problem is with those who follow that opinion, which is fine, and then they start attacking those who don't. And it's, again, ignorance. طيب. فهي said, ومنهم من كان يختم أو يختم في كل شهر. Some of them used to finish in every month, once a month, reciting the whole Quran. اشتغالا بالتدبر أو بنشر العلم. If now he's mentioning why it used to take them a whole month. Because again, if you're free, you do nothing, it shouldn't take you a month. You should give more time for the Quran. And if we said it's 10 days or 10 hours you need, and over 30 days, that means you're putting up 20 minutes a day. 20 minutes. For every 3 days, an hour. For 30 days, that's 10 hours. They say, come on, the Quran deserves more than 20 minutes a day. But now he's talking about why it would take them a month. Some of them. قال اشتغالا بالتدبر. Because they were busy really diving deep in the ayat. So one of them will recite an ayah and might spend the whole day or the whole week over this ayah. It's just the more he looks at it, the more ideas it put in his head, the more doors it open in his heart. So he might spend, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam spend the whole night in tahajjud, repeating one ayah. تعذبهم فإنهم عباد وإن تغفر لهم فإنك أنت العزيز الحكيم. A whole night reciting one verse, Surah Al-Ma'idah, toward them. You punish them, they're your slaves. And if you forgive them, then you're almighty, all wise. That's what Isa will say, alayhi salam, on the Day of Judgment to Allah Azza wa Jalla. He said, sometimes it's tadabbur and diving deep and reflecting and trying to take out the lessons and the hikam and the so it might take him a month. So he's going so slow. أو بنشر العلم, or he's busy with spreading the ilm and spreading knowledge. He's a sheikh, he's a scholar, he spends 8 and 10 and 12 hours of his day teaching. He spends a lot of time when people come to him from all over in his house to teach them and to take hadith from him and this and that and to take ilm. He's busy spreading the deen of Allah. And that's why he might not have enough time to dedicate more for the Quran. أو بنوع من التعبد غير القراءة. or he's busy with other kinds of ibadah, other forms of worship besides reciting. He's out in the jihad. He fasts a lot, for example, so he doesn't have strength to recite anything. أو بغيره من اكتساب الدنيا, or he's busy with his work, busy making a living. He's as they say, the breadwinner. He needs to work out there, and he needs to hustle, and maybe he spends 12 and 14 hours a day to provide for his family. You don't expect this person, like the person who has nothing else to do, but from the moment he wakes up, he's holding the Mus'haf and reciting until he sleeps. These might be reasons why it will take the person a month to recite. And he had a reason. He had a reason. وأولى الأمر. Now he talks about what's best. Because everyone wants to know what's best. قال ما لا يمنع الإنسان من أشغاله المهمة ولا يؤذيه ببدنه ولا يفوته معه الترتيب والفهم. He said the best of all, or the best way, the type of recitation, or the amount, as he's talking about the amount that will not hold him back from doing the important things in his life. Okay? And in other words, someone sits and recites the Quran, and he's the only guy who can spend in the house, who can go out and make a living. And they come here, okay, we don't have food. Don't worry about it. I'm busy with the Quran. Allah will say, you're responsible. Allah entrusted you with this family, with those kids, with your wife. You're obligated to go out. Now reciting the Quran, when you neglect your responsibilities, now you're not doing anything good. Don't think that this I'm doing ibadah, so Allah. Nah. You don't neglect your obligations and your duties with the excuse that I'm worshipping Allah. Not accepted. This is not the way it works. It's not the way it works. And you imagine that ibadah, you become sinful. When you do certain ibadah, you're sinful. And ibadah that Allah ordered you to do becomes a reason for you to get sins, to get bad deeds. That's how it is. When you're busy with nawafil, it takes you away from al-farad. This is what shaitan wants. This is one of the way the shaitan does his things. Shaitan, when he fails to really get you with the heavy things, like shirk, he fails to get you into bid'ah, he fails to get you into major sins, he even fails to get you into minor sins. He gets there, he starts telling you to do good things. But why is he telling you to do good things? He doesn't want to earn more good deeds. He starts telling you to do good things. At the same time, he's convincing you to do the good things because it's keeping you busy from the better things. مفهوم? That's how the shaitan works. Habal shaitan and the traps of the shaitan. That's how it works. Shaitan can hit a point where he becomes يأمر بالمعروف وينهى عن المنكر. But don't think هو يأمر بالمعروف إلا ليصد عن معروف أفضل منه. When he enjoys, shaitan reaches the point where he starts enjoying good and forbidding evil. But the only reason he's doing that because he will enjoy a good that if he doesn't, you will end up doing a better good. I could say it, a better deed. He will tell you to do something good because if he doesn't, you will end up doing something better. He will tell you to do some munkar. When he tells you stay away from some haram, Shaitan himself will tell you stay away from this haram. Because he knows if you don't stay away from this haram, you will end up doing what? Smaller haram. Yeah. But that's how the shaitan works. When he's frustrated, he will do that. So you don't do this haram. Don't do it. Stay away from it. Until you stay away from it. But not because he wants you to stay away from it. Very important. When reciting the Quran, when you're willing to neglect your obligations toward your family, for example, toward your parents, toward your duties, so you can do more nafila, more voluntarily ibadah, you're not doing yourself a favor. And if I tell you someone, and Ramadan coming inshallah, and if I tell you someone fast Monday and Thursday, but he's not planning to fast Ramadan, what's the reaction? You laugh. Someone every night makes tahajjud, prays tahajjud, but he doesn't pray 5 times a day. It's a joke. It's a joke, isn't it? Same idea. He's busy reciting too much Quran, and for example, he doesn't get up to pray Dhuhr and Asr. But laugh at him. Reading, and his family is hungry. His kids are hungry because he's not providing. It's a joke. Will anyone praise this person? Like some brothers, for example, will leave their families, will leave their wives, they will leave their children, and he goes out, for example, and I'm going out in da'wah. Method. He leaves them no money, he leaves them no food, he leaves them, Allah will take care of you, and he goes for Hada jahid. He's ignorant. Ignorant. Right. So he said the best thing is to recite the amount of Quran that will not hold you back from fulfilling your obligations, the important things. وَلَا يُؤْذِيهِ فِي بَنِهِ, and doesn't harm you in your body, doesn't harm your health. Some people I want to finish the Quran 3 times a day, and he starts becoming malnutrition. He becomes deprived of sleeping. He starts getting all his immune system drops. Now he's getting sick, and he's getting. Allah doesn't order you to do that. Allah doesn't order us to harm ourselves. لا ضرر ولا ضرار. ولا يفوته معه الترتيب والفهم. And the third thing that you want the best thing is the kind of recitation that you still can get the point. You get to understand what Allah is saying, what Allah is telling you. You get to reflect more. It get to affect you more. But this is better, more important than just how many times I'm gonna finish. You wanna still fulfill your duties. You still wanna do the very important things. You still wanna take care of your health. You still wanna reflect and understand the Quran. The Quran was not revealed just to be recited. Just to be recited. قال ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما لئن أقرأوا البقرة وآل عمران وأرتلهما وأتدبرهما أحب إلي من أن أقرأ القرآن كله هذرمة ومن وجد خلسة في وقت. قال ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما لأن أقرأ البقرة وآل عمران وأرتلهما وأتدبرهما أحب إلي من أن أقرأ القرآن كله هذرمة ومن وجد خلسة في وقت فليغتنم كثرة القراءة ليفوز بكثرة الثواب. وقد كان عثمان رضي الله عنه يقرأ القرآن في ركعة يوتر بها وكان الشافعي رحمه الله يختم في رمضان 60 ختمة. وأما الدوام فليكن على قدر الإمكان كما أشرنا إليه. ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما said for me to recite Al-Baqarah or Ali Imran. To recite Al-Baqarah or Ali Imran. From Al-Fatiha to the end of Ali Imran, 200 pages. No, less than 100 pages. Ali Imran is 200 ayah. Alright, so less than 5 juz. Maybe 4. But he says, for me to recite Al-Baqarah or Ali Imran, أرتلهما. I do tartil, I read it slowly, I understand, I reflect, وأتدبرهما. I ponder over the ayat and over the verses. More beloved to me than to read the Quran, the whole Quran, quickly, hadran. To read it like I'm reading anything else. In other words, he's saying, for me to recite and understand and reflect, more important than just to finish. When is the last surah? Some people, when is the next surah ends? When is the next surah? But now something here we should really pay attention from what Ibn Abbas said. He said what? He said Baqarah wal Imran. He didn't say for me to recite Surah An-Nas, more beloved to me than reciting the whole Quran fast. Baqarah wal Imran. 2 big surahs. What I'm trying to say is they still putting importance on the amount you recite. Who recites Baqarah wal Imran every day? Who recites that amount? Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, imagine the situation. Imagine why he would say that. Let's just imagine. Let's throw a scenario. So perhaps he's sitting with people, and this guy saying, Alhamdulillah, I finish the Quran every day. The other said, Alhamdulillah, I do it every 3 days. The other said, I'll do it twice every day. Let's assume. I'm not saying this is how it happened. So he started looking, and imagine those are young people. Because I don't imagine that big Sahaba would say that, or big ulama or tabi'i. Youngsters, and he's sitting with them, youth. And they're talking about, and he asked, how many times you recite the Quran? How much? He wanted to teach them. He said, I would rather recite Al-Baqarah wa Al-Imran and understand them and learn from them than recite the whole Quran like you do, very quickly. But again, he did not want to put down the idea of reciting too much. Because again, Baqarah wa Al-Imran is a good chunk of the Mus'haf. So he did not want to put down the idea of reciting a big amount. That's why he said Baqarah wa Al-Imran. He didn't say, I would rather recite a page. That's what we would say today, right? We would say, I would rather recite a page and understand it than reciting the whole Quran. Why would we say a page? Because most people don't even read it. Most people don't even read a page. When Ibn Abbas is talking, he's talking to people who, most of them read more than Al-Baqarah or Al-Imran. Mafhum? Because you have to look at the words and just, it doesn't matter how much you read, it more important is, that's in general. But still there's significance and there's importance for how much you read. Don't tell me you care about the Quran and you read a page every month. Can't fool me. No, I'm reflecting a month on a page, and you must come with about 10 volumes of reflection on page 23. Yeah. How much you gonna take out of a page? You open the greatest mufassirin and the greatest ulama. How long it's gonna take for a page to reflect? For you to come and say, and it took me a month to reflect over a page. Even though they said that Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah فسر سورة نوح في سنة. he gave tafsir of Surah Nuh. Surah Nuh, 2 pages, over a whole year. And a lot of ulama, including Ibn Taymiyyah, when they got closer to death, they wished that they dedicated most of their time for the Quran, rather than getting busy with the fiqh and seer and طيب. ومن وجد خلسة في وقت, whoever finds free time here or there, just like we said, in our time translates into you go to open a bank account. You're gonna sit and wait for 10, 15, 20 minutes before they get you. That's khals. You're, and I don't want to say standing at the red light, you know, because I don't want to be responsible when people get in car accidents. Unless you know how to drive like me. You accidents, my record. But you're standing in a line, seriously, you're standing in a long line. You're shopping and it's long line. That's khals. You have to take advantage of that. What most people do? He's looking right and left, right and left. ومع هيئة النظر الحرام and looking at haram and wasting your time. That's time to invest. You have to go shopping, you go shopping. It's a long line, huh? You take advantage. You're waiting for something. It's gonna take, it's gonna take at least 10 minutes. That's khalsa. That's a free time, and I see it free time. Take advantage of it. And you say, from 1 to 2, and you're gonna be busy in the bank, opening account. So you already dedicated 60 minutes for that. Any free time that happens from 1 to 2, that you can read Quran, you can do something right, you can, that's free time, came from nowhere. That's extra time. And if you took 10 minutes, that means your day is 24 hours and 10 minutes. Boom. That's khals. Take advantage. We said before, they'll take advantage walking from, let's say, from home to the masjid, or from home to their shops, and they will recite Quran while they're walking. That's extra time, because he has to walk anyway. So he managed to use his time to double the use of his time. Double points. فيسأل من وجد خلسة في وقت فليغتنم كثرة القراءة ليفوز بكثرة الثواب. Find free time, then he should dedicate it for more reading. And here he's talking about the Quran. More reading. So he can get more reward. فقد كان عثمان رضي الله عنه يقرأ القرآن في ركعة يوتر بها. عثمان used to recite the whole Quran in one ركعة. witr. The whole Quran. والشافعي رحمه الله used to recite the Quran 60 times in Ramadan. 60 times. That means 1 time a day, 1 time a night. Daytime, nighttime. وأما الدوام فليكن على قدر الإمكان كما أشرنا إليه. Being consistent. يعني مثلا واحد say أنا every witr I'm gonna finish the Quran. أقول له على رسلك. Take it easy. Maybe you can do that in the winter, but there's no way you can do that. And I want to see how many times you're going to finish. How many witr you're going to recite. Don't overburden yourself. Not burden, overburden. Sometimes you push yourself hard, that is fine. But don't overdo it. Because one time you're going to just collapse and lose everything. Some people read in the siyar of the ulama, salaf al-salih, al-sahaba, how they used, one of them مثلا spent for 40 years مثلا he prayed tahajjud. But he says, you know what, that's what you're gonna do. And he starts first week, second week, he's now, when you imagine, you're doing something you're not accustomed to do. After 2 or 3 weeks, you stop completely. You stop completely. Someone start training, exercising, and he goes and he wants to do bench 300 pounds. And what happens? With the first time he lift, he smacked his face. It drops right on his face, the bar. And with a bar by itself, if it drops on the face, you imagine with 300 pounds. You graduate. I say, how could they do it? How did they manage to make tahajjud or do these things, these voluntarily things in that greatness? One of the keys that the ulama say, because they perfected the fara'id. They perfected their fara'id. That's why they were able to tackle the nawafil. Their fara'id, they reach their best in the faridah, dhuhr, asr, maghrib, isha. But now once he finished with that, because he understood this is more important. One rak'ah faridah, perhaps better than million nights of tahajjud. But once they managed to perfect the faridah, then they managed to be great at the nawafil. Just the example we give. Someone fast Mondays and Thursdays sunnah, and when Ramadan comes he doesn't fast. A joke. Someone doesn't pray every night tahajjud and doesn't pray fajr. Joke. فhe says وأما الدوام فليكن على قدر الإمكان كما شرنا. He said being continuous, consistent with the same amount, then it should be based on your ability. Based on your ability. Someone free doesn't have a job, he wants to recite the Quran once every 3 days, once every 4 days. We tell you, go for it. One every 2 days, go for it. Then he gets a job and he want to continue with that. Very difficult. Then he gets married. Impossible. You know? Then he gets kids. You still Muslim? This is life. This is life. You take advantage of your situation. My situation now, I'm single. I can do a lot of things I cannot do when I'm good things. Then let me take advantage of it. Before I get married, and now I have different responsibilities, different level of life, different stand. Now I'm single, I can go out with my friends every night. Some people get married and they want to continue that lifestyle. That's why their marriage fails. Marriage is responsibility, marriage is dedication, marriage is commitment, marriage is, you have to change. That's why Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam advised to take advantage of your free time before you get busy. اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس. Take advantage of 5 before 5. One of them is free time before busy time. Take advantage of your health before you get sick. واستحب بعضهم إذا ختم بالنهار أن يختم في ركعتي الفجر أو بعدهما. وإذا ختم بالليل أن يختم في ركعتي المغرب أو بعدهما ليستقبل بالختمة أول الليل وأول النهار. He said that some of the ulama recommended. And there's no dalil on that. But out of practice, out of recommendation. Some of the ulama, that's why it's very important for us not to rush to call everything bid'ah. Some of the ulama, from istiqran, from looking at the adillah and looking how things are and looking where Allah commands the Prophet ﷺ to do certain things at what time. So they conclude, we take those recommendations and apply them to others. But don't rush everything bid'ah. But some of them they didn't say it's recommended, because when you say something recommending, something mustahab, you need dalil. But they're on personal level, they liked what? That if someone gonna finish the recitation of the Mus'haf during the day, then he should finish in the 2 rak'ah of al-Fajr, or after. And if he finishes at night, the recitation of the Mus'haf, then he finishes in the rak'atain of al-Maghrib, or after, during the night. So if he finishes during the day, he finishes during the beginning of the day. If he finishes at night, he finishes in the beginning of the night. Because al-Maghrib is the beginning of the night. The Fajr is the beginning of the daytime, nighttime, daytime. ليش؟ why؟ ليستقبل بالختمة أول الليل وأول النهار. So he finishes in the beginning of the day time. He finishes in the beginning of the night time. Allah Azza wa Jal, a lot of times he tells the Prophet ﷺ to and so thus the believers to remember him. أناء الليل أطراف النهار. Beginning of the day, beginning of the night. But the idea is that's where they get it from. Okay. وقال ابن مسعود رضي الله عنه من ختم القرآن فله دعوة مستجاب. Who finishes reciting the Quran, then he will have an answered da'wah. Ibn Mas'ud رضي الله عنه said, meaning that you have done a great ibadah, that is reciting the whole Quran. For you, so you take advantage of it and make dua. Now there is no such specific dua for khatm al-Quran. Some masahif, when you open after Al-Nas and right after Al-Nas, I think, you find dua, 2-3 pages dua, and maktub dua khatm al-Quran. The dua of finishing the mushaf. There is no specific dua, there is no sunnah about that there is a specific dua for finishing reciting the Quran. الوارد أكثر ما ورد إنه أنس رضي الله عنه whenever he was about to finish reciting the Quran, he will bring his family, gather his kids, his wife, and they will sit and he finishes and they make dua. It's the max report. A specific dua for finishing the Quran, there is no, in the Sunnah it's not reported. However, the fact that you have done a great ibadah, you just worshipped Allah a great deal, for your dua and your heart to be open and your dua to be accepted is stronger. فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب. Allah Azza wa Jal tells the Prophet when you're done in ibadah with the salah, fansab, stand up again and go to your Lord and desire what he has. وكان أنس رضي الله عنه إذا ختم القرآن جمع أهله ودعا. هذه اللي كنت أقولها. And Anas رضي الله عنه, whenever he would finish reciting the Quran, he will bring his family together and he will make dua. He will make dua. So, هذه سنة الصحابة، سنة أنس. سنة ما نقول عنها سنة لم يتبع، لم ترد عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. So that's why we stay away from saying it's sunnah. هذا عمل صحابي. An action of one of the Sahaba. Now the question becomes, طيب, what is better? To do something a Sahabi did or not to do? And in other words, is the opinion of a Sahabi hujjah? And what one of the Sahaba did, can we use that as dalil? No. Sahih? No. However, will it ever cross your mind that Anas, because if it's not sunnah, it's bid'ah. If it's not right, it's wrong. If it's not okay, then it's not okay. But there is no, it should not be a doubt in your heart that no way that Anas will do something the Prophet ﷺ will not approve, for example. And we don't know, the fact that it's known. We don't know any Sahabi who told Anas, you cannot do that. فمن أراد أن يتابع أنس في هذه فلا حرج. من لم يرد فلا حرج. Who wants to imitate Anas in this, imitate him and still not believe it's the Sunnah, or that's fine. If he doesn't see it as strong enough for him to follow it, and he doesn't, that's fine as well. The problem happens when the one who doesn't want to do it start attack the one who does it, and the one who does it start attacking the one who doesn't. That's where the problem. وكلاهما أجهل من الثاني. وانت العلم, as you learn, you start understanding better. Something that we should not separate from each other. Take it from me, and this is, maybe if you look in books for 10 years, you might not find. Always connect the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ with the way they practiced. Connect. And in other words, don't just get stuck with words. Okay, this is words. This is the hadith. Say this. How did they practice? Let me go see. يعني تقرأ حديث مثلا من رأى منكم منكرا فليغيره بيده فمن لم يستطع فبلسانه فإن لم يستطع فبقلبه ذلك ضعف الإيمان. من حديث أبو موسى الأشعري, he said, the Prophet said, who sees a munkar, then let him change it with his hand. We all know this hadith. And if he can, he should change it with what? With his tongue. And he says something about it. And if he can't, he changes it in his heart. Right? So someone read this hadith and he get hyped up. And every time he sees munkar, boom. Because I know I'm strong, I'm tough, I'm ex-MMA fighter, you know. Rather Ali, I'm picking on him. I'm strong and they can't stop me. So the Prophet said, the first thing you change with your hand. Boom, boom, boom. And every time he sees munkar, he goes and he uses his hand. Is this how the Sunnah was? Did the Khulafa al-Rashideen do that? You have to understand things in context. This hadith has great ilm behind it and has great understanding. We should not fall into. How many times the Prophet ﷺ saw munkar and he changed it with his hand? How many times? He went and he smacked the guy, or he beat him up, or he hit him. Aisha radiallahu anha says, the Prophet ﷺ never hit anybody except in a battlefield. In the battlefield. He will not get angry ever, except when haram is committed. We cannot separate the Sunnah. The Sunnah, the problem we have with some people, that they think the Sunnah is only what's in the books. Yeah, or in the books of Hadith. It's not the case. How they practiced it is part of it. Prophet said something. How they practiced it, then you understand the best way how to put this into practice. This Sunnah. Just to take how the enemies of Islam attack Islam, they just take the words. Don't come to the practice. Now your deen is so rough. Why? But they say change it with your hand. Right. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal. So what I want to say is, the more you learn and the more you read and the more you get exposed, the more tolerant you become. At younger age, at starting to learn, always you're very rough. The more you learn and the more you see how our ulama practice the deen, or the Sahaba practice the deen, how the ulama practice, how they taught, the more you start becoming tolerant. Because at the end of the day, the person you're speaking to is Muslim. And being harsh, your old days way, it's just gonna, if you think he's doing something wrong, being harsh gonna drive him even further. Again, when we say tolerance, we're not talking about tolerating the munkar itself, tolerating the bid'ah, tolerating the haram. No, tolerating the person until you have better channels to advise him to change his heart. I'm coming black and white. This is the way it's gonna be, and you are mubtadi'. Maybe he's not. Maybe you think he's doing bid'ah, but it's not bid'ah. Keep that in mind. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. جزاكم الله خير.